Welcome to, let me get my microphone closer to me. There we go. Welcome to the Recruiting Scoop. Oh man, it is just it's been one of those days. Welcome to Recruiting Intel on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook. Got Justin Wells.
Joe's the one messing up the intro, and Splenda Poppy's like getting on to me.
He got that up before we even started going. So thank you for turning in. Sugar Cane Daddy. Name changes every week, it seems like. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And, of course, make sure you head to InsideTexas.com because we have a great deal going for you. Join for $1. That gets you your first week free. But that's not all. Join Inside Texas now for $1 for your first week. Enjoy a complimentary year of The Athletic included with your membership. This is where we have a lot of fun covering camp, covering the team, covering some of the availability. Steve Sarkisian will speak to the media later today, probably to do things like confirm Andre Kojo's injury and go over some of the different storylines that have already started developing here in camp. But you're not going to want to miss out on any of it. Join Inside Texas for just $1. Great deal, one you are not going to want to miss. And, of course, Paul Wadlington has Thinking Texas Football 2025 Longhorn Football Prospectus. Every player, every position, every opponent on the schedule, every SEC team, a look at the landscape of college football, and then a look at the 2025 class from our guy, Eric Naline. So don't miss out. The link's in the description. Today, our big topic is we're going to talk about Vince Young being the number 2 5-star all-time in Rivals history, a list that was just put out yesterday. But we do have to talk a little bit about some of the recruits that Texas is still after. It's preseason camp time for Texas, which means it's preseason camp time for high schools. It's a dead period. Nobody's taking visits. Most of these decisions have been made. So a lot of it's just talking with schools, maybe setting up some visits down the road. 2027 is coming into focus. But there's still some notes on 2026's. Let's start with this from our guy, Brett Nelson. Brett, thanks for tuning in as always. Jake Krell, trending Texas. Lots been written about him in the past few days, Charlie, and this would be the cherry on top for Alan Clark if it were to happen.
Yeah, look, you need another edge in the class. Jake Krell's an absolute stud. I think we just wrote about him taking a visit in the fall, and we talked about, him taking what it's like to take an official visit or a visit during the summer versus a fall visit and what that means. Look, this is a kid that gets another chance to see Texas this coming fall. I think Texas, after winning on the field, has a really good chance of probably landing Krell versus other teams that are recruiting him. And so I think that way maybe heavy in the decision, we'll see. But yeah, he's an absolute stud. I love this kid. Has absolute explosive get off, man. He has an array of moves, and if he beats you, he sacks the quarterback. He may do a backflip. So I like him all the way around.
IMG Academy star, and man, that'd be a fantastic addition. You add him with Richard Wesley, you add him to this class, and Alan Clark's feeling great. Justin, we had a few more we wanted to talk about, just hit on quickly. Justice Fitzpatrick, Minka's little brother, is committed to Georgia, I believe. Obviously a long-standing connection with Kirby Smart for the Fitzpatrick family, and now that Nick Saban's not in the game anymore, but still not through, it seems like, with his recruitment quite yet, and Texas is angling to get him on campus.
Justice is still connecting with other teams. Now, I don't know if we would call him a soft pledge right now. I think he's pretty solid, but that's not going to stop Texas. Like, that's the thing that people don't understand. After the rush of all the commitments dropped in the last 2 months, everything kind of shifts to team, and recruits generally get ready for their high school seasons, whether it be their sophomore, junior, senior years. But the recruiting staff doesn't stop recruiting these guys just because we've seen all these guys kind of find their spots. I think Rivals posted a story the other day where there's only 14 of 200 guys, top-rated guys, uncommitted left at this point. It's just fascinating how many guys went in and got their spots. And I think a lot of that's NIL. I think a lot of that's a house settlement. And a lot of it's just schools pushing earlier and often. That being said, Texas isn't going to stop talking to a lot of these guys. They want to flip Justice Fitzpatrick. That's an impact guy. That's a numbers buster type guy. They want to flip Malachi Lee. They still talk to him on a regular basis. They want to flip Zayden Crippen. They still talk to him a couple times a week. That relationship's there. And even though I think a lot of those guys are probably solid where they're at, I know Crippen is pretty solid to A&M right now. I don't see him changing right now in any capacity. It doesn't stop the staff from recruiting these guys and going after these guys. It looks like Texas is almost full in their class. They still have some needs. Jake Kroll, one guy we just talked about for sure, but there's still some spots there. So they're going to continue to push, continue to recruit. The biggest thing to watch for recruiting right now, if you're a Texas fan, which guys in 2026 set visits to come see Texas in the fall, especially the non-committed or the committed to other schools. Those are the first and foremost. And then those top end 2027 guys, because that's kind of when you get started. Like this whole thing at Texas kind of got started when Texas hosted the best prospects in the nation when they hosted Alabama 3.5 years ago. Like that really was kind of like a building block to bringing in all these guys every year and kind of evaluating them all through the cycle and then pushing for them later. Obviously, it cultivated in a Kobe Black committing a year later. It helped flip an Anthony Hill a year and a half later. And so just understand for Texas fans, follow recruiting, pay attention to who comes to visit this fall. Texas is still talking to a lot of these guys. I wouldn't say that's so much news. Pay attention to Jake Kroll because Texas is really pushing there, trying to edge out Oklahoma and Ole Miss. But football still happens. And so these guys are still going to talk to these numbers busters. And that's these guys, Malachi Lee, Justice Fitzpatrick, and others.
I think that about is good before we get into our main topic. Before we do that, let's go ahead and hit our ad. That's from Roback. There's only one way to describe Roback. Best fit, best feel. For those who aren't familiar with Roback, they are completely changing the game with their incredibly comfortable activewear. Roback has released so many items within their new licensed game day collection, and it's our favorite. With novel polo designs and clean hoodie and Q-zip designs from some of your favorite schools like Texas, it's definitely worth checking out. Nobody else on the market is pairing these level of custom designs with this quality of activewear. Roback's everyday shorts or their Delta Performance pants are the perfect pairing as well. Both are super comfortable, have an elastic waistband, and great fabric that's made to have the appearance of a nice short look, but the comfort for a day on the move. Roback has also been proudly leading the NIL charge, having signed partnerships with multiple college football stars like Quinn Ewers. They are becoming the go-to brand for college athletes across the country. Use the code TEXAS20 on roback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers through the end of this week. That's RHOBACK.com and 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with Texas20. All right, let's get to our main topic. Rivals yesterday. I think Rivals was founded in either like 98 or 2000. So Rivals yesterday released a list of the top 5 stars in its history, and Vince Young was number 2. And I looked at the list, and I thought about it a lot, and I thought, you know what, that's fair. And then I almost kind of thought it was fitting that he was behind Reggie Bush because Reggie was accomplished. Let's face it. I don't think any Texas fans ever
in more ways than one.
But Vince Young got the last laugh and the best laugh. But number 2, Justin, I mean, this means that basically Vince Young was the number 2 recruit of all time, kind of looking back on it with this extra perspective. And man, it took him a little bit. It took Greg Davis figuring things out, took Mac Brown figuring things out, took a little step to the side by Chance Mock. But once Vince Young figured it out, the legend was born right there.
Yeah. So this was a really good idea. I'm glad the guys at On 3 and Rivals came up with this. This was a fun. I think I liked our back and forth in our group chat because we were interested to see where Vince was going to fall. We thought he was going to be in that top 3. We just didn't know exactly. I think you had predicted he was going to be 2 behind Tebow or Bush. Okay, and Charlie may feed off of some of this as well. Take it from a guy that I was like your age when all this stuff started coming out. And I followed it religiously. Like our fans follow us on YouTube and they follow the site at Inside Texas. Like we followed these recruitments day in and day out. Like I didn't feel comfortable until Vince actually committed to Texas because Miami was the perennial power at the time. Miami was his top school going into his recruitment. And so The problem there, I think, though, is some of those schools were kind of looking at him as an athlete, whereas Texas told him, look, buddy, you're a quarterback for us. Yeah. You said it. Greg Davis helped him out. A lot of things had to go right for Vince to turn out how he was. But, I mean, there's only been 3 guys with a perfect rating. Yeah. If I remember correctly. He was 1,000. Quinn Ewers was 1,000. And then the re-ranking brought him back to real life a little bit. And then I think Arch Manning, wasn't Arch Manning on the edge of it or right there?
It's changed. Who says what and where is.
Yeah, and then there was a re-ranking and all those things. I say all that because if you have 1,000 recruiting ranking, you probably go to Texas. And Vince Young was the first. Like, I'm just saying, this guy was such a big deal. And listen, the crazy part is if Vince Young wasn't in this 2002 class, they still probably have the top class in the country. Sure. That's how ridiculous that class was. I think we're talking Justin Blaylock and Roderick Wright. I mean, like, you're just loaded with dudes in this. But, man, take it from a guy. I was fortunate enough to I attended probably 70% of Vince Young's games at Texas. And, man, I've seen the best and the worst, the highs and the lows, including the last one. And, I'm partial. I said, I quote tweeted, number 2 in rivals, number 1 in your heart. And that's the way I feel about it, because Vince Young is single-handedly responsible for rejuvenating an entire country of Texas football fans. The diehards have been there forever. But but that 90s run kind of, people kind of faded away a little bit, even with a little bit of success that John Mack
90s run.
Yeah, it kind of faded some. Matt Brown shows up and he turns it around. Vince Young was the justification. Vince Young was the culmination of all of that goodwill and good recruiting and development and patience and all that put together. That's kind of what I think about Vince. Most people think of Vince crossing the goal line against USC. Hard to ignore. I was in the other end zone. It was amazing. But I'm partial. Look, Reggie Bush was amazing, okay? Reggie Bush is one of the most exciting football players I've ever seen in my life, anybody's ever seen.
Yeah.
Number 1, though, I'm partial. They battled each other. Reggie lost.
Yeah.
And Reggie had another Heisman Trophy winner on his own team, on his own side of the ball, 3 feet ahead of him. And just as stacked a team as the Longhorns were. I think the USC may have had a few more NFL guys on that team.
Yeah, they were loaded.
So you're going Reggie over Vince, even though Vince should have won the Heisman. He had a bad game against A&M, and then Bush went crazy, I think, on Fresno State.
It was behind the back play.
Yeah, that kind of flipped it. And then, I can't – you can't go wrong here. I'm rambling. You can't go wrong. But, man, Vince is what made, I think, a lot of Texas fans fall in love with recruiting. And Rivals was the main culprit. They were the ones – they were the baseline. They were the first. They were the OG, as Shannon likes to call it. And Vince was 1,000 – he had 1,000 rating. And Quinn Ewers had that for a minute. It was gone. Arch had it for a minute. It was gone. Still to this day – the only player to have a perfect rating was Vince Young. How he's not number 1, yet he won the national championship, yet he won the most games in Texas history. Maybe they're just fans of Kim Kardashian and Malibu houses. I don't know, but I do know Vince is number 1 in this heart.
I'm trying to see. There's some glitch on Rivals right now to where basically, if you go to that 2002 class, only BYU recruits were shown. Very odd. But yeah, I know there are people whose main experiences with Vince Young, and I'm not saying like this is a majority or that I've met them or anything like that, but their main experiences, or maybe just first experiences with Vince Young, were with him in a Madison Marlins uniform. Like he was such a cultural phenomenon in Houston that what was it? I think a state semifinal game
against
Westlake was in the Astrodome.
Oh, Westlake. I thought you were talking about
it was in the Astrodome. And I went and I was on the Madison side. And if you know about, city of Houston and where Madison is, like You do not expect my family to be on the Madison side. That's just kind of the truth of it all. And that's just how big a deal. And my dad continues to be a huge Texas fan. That was a big motivation behind it. Wanted to go see Vince Young play, but people just wanted to go see Vince Young play. This was 2001. So the Astros had moved out. The Oilers were long gone. WrestleMania was back in March. The GalleryFurniture.com Bowl wasn't for a while. And they put it in the Astrodome. Like, they needed a place to put all these people to watch this game, and it was in the Eighth Wonder. Like, that kind of speaks a little bit to what Vince Young was, and that a lot of people's first introduction with him was in that high school uniform. And I mean, I don't blame anyone for looking at 6'5", 230 and thinking, man, that guy can catch the ball. Like, because he probably could.
His mechanics weren't that sharp.
And they still aren't. Like,
No.
I remember I would go in my backyard and try to throw from right here, like right by my neck, because that's what Vince did.
That's what Vince did, yeah.
But I was, I'm not 6'5", 235, even running a 4.4. Like, it's a different ball game, and that's why he is just so special.
You know why else? I'll give you one more added on to that football part, high school football part. I want to say they faced Lufkin. Charlie, do you remember that?
I can't remember. So me and Vince are actually in the same class. So only the most memories I have about him is reading the press clippers, right? You're reading about the teams from Houston, who you may have to face in the playoffs if you make a deep run. It's like, okay.
He was lining up with Reggie McNeil.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Reggie.
Yeah.
So that was another kid. Everybody looked at Reggie. It was Reggie and Vince show. Which one do you want? Who's really number one quarterback? And it's like, man,
both cover boys on the Dave Campbell's.
Yep. Just
I'm trying to see, like, and
I want to say I thought they played in the state semifinal against Lufkin. It may have been the quarterfinal. I can't remember. Actually, I think that's the year Lufkin won the state championship. So I got to look back at the standings at that, because I think that's when Reggie and Lufkin won the state champion. And so that carried over to Texas A&M. So everybody thought, well, this is just going to amplify the rivalry, because it was already, a big rivalry, obviously, in state. Texas A&M, both the quarterbacks went in those directions. And then Reggie flashed as a freshman, if y'all remember. He had a big game against a top-ranked Oklahoma team as a freshman. And everyone in College Station, was just as happy as can be. They've got their guy, they got their quarterback. And then, of course, the legend of Vince Young started to procreate. But man, that's I see. I couldn't remember if they faced Lufkin. I for some reason I thought they went against Lufkin and Reggie McNeil, but I think they saved that for. They got one game against each other, if I remember it correctly, at Texas Austin and Texas A&M.
Here we go. Lufkin played Westlake for sake. So because Vince lost to Westlake, and then
that's why. That's
Reggie,
it.
They played in Austin.
You got to thank you, Kendrick, for that, brother.
The other impressive thing is that, again, Madison, not in a great part of Houston. It's part of HISD.
Not a great school.
And if you're in HISD and you're a football player, you usually kind of find your way to Lamar High School. Drew, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but I think that's true. Like this isn't a high school that just produces top end talent over and over and over. And that was Vince.
The last recruit for Madison.
It was Bobby Wolf, because I have it up right here.
Oh, it was Bobby Wolf?
That's the last one I know.
I was going to say Courtney Lewis.
Yeah, but he was on the same team with Vince, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Vince's running back wound up being a rotational running back at Texas A&M, and a good one. Courtney Lewis was good.
Yeah, it's so like.
But this is the kind of guy that made people fall in love with recruiting. This is the kind of kid that made fans flock to these sites and read the Dallas Morning News recruiting section. They did it once a week, where you'd have area top 100, national top 100, state top 100. I'd have that thing memorized in 2 hours of toilet time. Like, it was easy peasy. Vince Young is one of the reasons we're doing this right now, Charlie and Joe, because of recruiting and how much fun we got to see the guy go through these growth spurts, good and bad. And then at the end, it was the fairy tale ending.
And Charlie, one of the things, and if you ever hear Eric talk about recruiting a lot, there's the GM version, there's the finding the prospects, and then there's the soap opera version. The ups and downs, the drama, the will he or won't he, and this had it all. Like, you're trying to find the most I don't want to say like dramatic recruitment because I don't have the memory of it, and I don't think Vince played games, as they like to say, but like this recruitment had it all for Texas fans.
I mean, I can believe it, and it's a reason why. Vince was phenomenal. Like, there was nobody else like that. I mean, I remember just it's hard looking at being an awe of a guy in your same class. Like, man, I hope we don't have to face him because it's going to be trouble, right? And so I can see why most people came after him. But people like Vince reminds me of some of the top recruits throughout history of recruiting. I see somebody in chat mention like Earl. Like, think about people like oh man, I can't think of the running back's name all of a sudden. Marcus Dupree. Man, think about his documentary. Everybody was after him, how crazy that was, right? And so just hearing the stories of recruiting.
Eric Dickerson.
From older uncles, how they used to show up with bags, or Switzer would show up with a Lincoln. You want to drive a Lincoln, come to Oklahoma. Like, just so much recruiting and so many stories, man, before social media took over. But yeah, Vince was the guy that heavily coveted, and it was the reason why.
I think the thing that clinched it for Vince, at least one of the things, he came in for a visit, and he attended a basketball game, and at halftime, the announcer says, "And with us in the crowd today is big-time 5-star recruit Vince Young." Vince Young stood up, and the crowd erupted. And I want to say I've heard before that at that moment he thought, "Yeah, this is probably where I'm going. This is probably going to be the spot." And if I remember correctly, Mac Brown had it kind of set up that way, where the announcer would acknowledge Vince being in the crowd, Vince being, in the audience, being there, ready. And man, I just remember when he committed to Texas, it was huge because we were worried about Miami. Miami was the worry. Like, that was the other school. And he said it years later, like, if he didn't go to Texas, he was going to Miami. And they were coming off, I think, a national championship. Beating Nebraska. And so Texas was coming off losing a Big 12 championship where they should have been playing in the national championship. So Vince came at a time that it wasn't just the aura of the guy. He came at a time that was perfect for Texas. Like, it was just the right time, the right player, the right moment.
Want to get to the rest of the list because it is one of the most entertaining, I think, and that's kind of what makes this fun. I've never really seen anybody try.
Can we do this? Let's count how many people we've seen these guys in person.
All right, let me see if I can. Can y'all see that decently enough?
I can see it. I can see it.
Means the good people on YouTube can. 32, Robert Kimdiche, sure. He was a DJ Spiller. 31, sure. Najee Harris, I remember that was a recruitment that got wild at the very end because Najee Harris is from Antioch, which I think is like NorCal. I don't know if it's like Sacramento or actually, I don't know. It's either from LA or it's like kind of rural NorCal. Michigan made that one crazy at the very end. Like, he had been committed to Alabama for a while. And we were at the Army All-American Bowl because Harris was there, and that was right after Tom Herman got hired, and we're kind of asking around, like, what about this from the old staff? What about this from the new staff? It was before early signing day, so there were still some chances that Texas could have flipped or gotten in with some guys. Texas wasn't going to get Najee Harris, but like just kind of that being in the background and watching along as everybody else is trying to track that down, that got pretty interesting.
I remember covering him at the opening. That was one of the last openings I attended. He was there, and he looked fantastic. Dude, Percy Harvin was the real deal. But the guy above him, everybody wanted Ernie Sims.
Ernie Sims, yeah.
He was the guy that Sports Illustrated, I want to say, did that thing where they do that little section in the back of the magazine they used to do all the time.
Yeah, faces in the crowd or whatever.
Faces in the crowd. Ernie was on that as like a freshman in high school or a sophomore in high school.
Different.
Just destroying people. This is when Florida State ran college football. They were not going to lose that kid. Wound up being a decent, college player, but I just remember the hype around Ernie Sims. Oh my gosh. They thought he could walk on water.
Cool story about Rashawn Gary. He actually joined the Texas 2016 commit chat with a lot of other guys and we wanted to visit. I only know that because Davion Curtis was in that chat, and so I'm really close to him. Gary wanted to visit with the whole Charlie Strong thing. Yeah, it was Like, oh, do I want to go there? Stability.
Oh man, that's good stuff.
Where's
Yeah,
isn't he from Michigan? No, he went. Is he from Michigan originally?
I don't remember.
I got a computer in front of me. I
don't
feel like
remember.
he was either like a Michigan native or he went to IMG.
Yeah, where he's from.
Plainfield, New Jersey. So he probably went to he went to Erasmus Catholic. That's right. But that's no team owns that area, so makes sense that he went to Michigan.
Fournette was just a man among kids.
Different.
Like
Fournette,
really.
Tunzel too. Like what about Jeremiah Smith up there?
I think by the time we're done, he's done in college, he's probably going up this list.
He's going up the list.
Because if we didn't get to cover as much of him because Texas was never in the mix. And as long as Brian Hartline was coaching Ohio State, he was going to Ohio State. There was no flips. And so Texas wasn't really in this one. But everybody you talk to in 7-on-7, in high school games, they would all tell you the same thing. It's Jeremiah Smith and everybody else. There was such a gap there. I think Jeremiah Smith could go up this list in the next couple seasons.
It looks a lot like the guy right ahead of him too, AJ Green.
I remember AJ Green was one of those guys that, like Matt Stafford, he was part of I think he went in with Mark Richt. Mark Richt used to recruit really well. I mean, real well. They just couldn't get over the hump. They get to the SEC championship. I remember they had that lefty, David Gibson. I remember that big lefty. And they had some dudes, but they just couldn't get over the hump. AJ Green was one of those like dynamic guys that Rick went out and got.
Derek Stingley, you and I saw him in action both as a recruit and then as a. I think did he play for that? Yeah, he was on that national title team. I think he was a true freshman.
He was a true freshman. I want to say I don't know if he was hurt or not.
He did get banged up a bunch, but at the same time, like he lived up to the hype. Like, yes,
100%. And his dad told everyone, look, I'm raising when he was born, he said, this guy's going to play corner in the NFL at the hospital. And by God, he raised a corner in the NFL. And I think he's doing pretty good down for Houston right now.
I think his dad was the head coach at Dunham School?
I'm not sure.
Some school in Baton Rouge.
Well,
like Texas recruited him.
I'll tell you that.
For some reason, I still have his number in my phone from back when he was a recruit.
Yeah.
You look through your phone and you're like, why do I have his number?
Yeah.
Like he's making plays on Sundays. Caleb Williams. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. Gerald McCoy. Yeah. Caleb was, Baltimore kid, I think.
DC.
Number one.
Yeah.
DC, number one kid in the country. Just phenomenal arm talent. Kind of what we're seeing right now in the NFL. A lot of boom and a lot of bust. Nothing in between. And so Coach Johnson's got his hands full with Williams in Chicago. He could be a great quarterback. I just don't know.
I wonder what would have happened if he had to start right away, like if Rattler wasn't there. What type of butterfly effect does that have? And I know that SEC was part of Lincoln Riley's maybe inspiration to get out there, but And the other thing about that USC team that's, we do the point and laugh at Lincoln Riley thing, but like they were basically, if they had held on to a lead against Utah, that team's in the playoffs. And we're thinking a little bit differently about Caleb Williams. Like he may be moving up and his hamstring's healthy and he's at full strength on a ridiculously talented offensive team. Like a lot of butterfly effect there.
Yeah.
Gerald McCoy, I'll defer to you on that one.
Just a big time D lineman. That was when in the 2000s when Oklahoma got some of the best D linemen every year in and year out. If it wasn't Gerald McCoy, it was Tommy Harris. They recruited so well on the D line, and so Gerald McCoy was a thorn. But I think he went 1-2 against Texas. Because I think it was in the later 2000s part. He was still impactful, but I think the Horns got the most of him in that one.
All right, we'll move quickly through these.
Winston, we have to bring up just because of Max Olson, my buddy, who asked him a question, and he comes out and says, hey, I wanted to go to Texas, but Mac Brown, da-da-da-da-da. And it started so much crap in recruiting that cycle. It started so much flack because Jameis, as we've learned, just says whatever he wants, top of his mind. There doesn't have to be any truth to it. And people took it literal. It was the beginning of Twitter in a sense. So people took it really literal, and it became this thing. I remember Max telling me later on that Mac Brown asked him, he's like, "What are you doing? Like, what are you doing to me here, man?" And so Winston was an interesting one. I'm glad they have him above Caleb. And I like where Trevor is as well, because Trevor did win a national championship. Remember, Trevor was the best player in his class. Justin Fields was the second quarterback, both in Georgia. And he went ahead to Clemson. So I think Winston and Lawrence are in good spots.
I'm kind of wondering why Trevor isn't higher. Like, won a national championship. You know, that 2020 season messed with a lot of stuff. Messed with his
really
career.
Good Alabama team with
Like this is someone who I think could have been higher. And he went 1-1, and a lot of these guys ended up going 1-1 or 1-2. But I think he's higher. Patrick Peterson, Eric Berry. You know, I
don't
Eric
remember
Berry,
much of Patterson.
I know.
Do you
Eric
remember much of
Berry
Berry? Because I remember Berry. But didn't Lane Kiffin? Isn't he the one that got Berry to Tennessee?
What would that have been? 2009?
No, 2007. Because he won the Thorpe in 2009 that he stole from Earl Thomas. And then I remember, didn't he get really, really sick? He came down with some sort of illness or disease.
Once he made it to the NFL.
No, he was a first-round pick. But I want to say Kiffin was in on that recruitment. Berry was a big deal. I think he was the number one DB in the country. DJ Williams, do you even remember DJ Williams?
Nope.
Okay. He visited Texas. He took an official visit to Texas. DJ, this was early on in Mac, like late 90s, early 2000s. Mac Brown was trying to go nationwide. They actually got him on campus and was talking to him about a multitude of positions and opportunities. And Texas thought they were really in it. That kid was always going to Miami. Miami was rocking and rolling. He went in. He played immediately. He became a pretty good linebacker. But he did visit Texas.
Haloti Ngata, Tommy Harris.
Tommy Harris was the one that got away. Colleen, baby, right down the road. That's the one that kept Mac Brown up at night. He would have nightmares because that one didn't happen. Tommy Harris was supposed to be a Longhorn, like a couple other guys on this list we're going to talk about. That one, it stung. Okay, Joe, for Texas fans, Tommy Harris to OU stung. Not as much as one up on this list, but it burned.
Real quick about Travis Hunter, like I made a point a couple of years ago that no matter what he does in his career, and then no matter what Dion does in his career, that JSU is always going to be right by him, right by that little Buffalo. And there's something worthwhile for, you know, there's SWAC, so we're for SWAC schools in that regard. And then this is not recency bias. Like Travis Hunter, one of the best, just literally had one of the best college football seasons ever. You know, doing two-way stuff in 2024 is insane at the level that he did it, especially when you think a little bit about altitude. But what was funny was he was going to go to Florida State, and the meltdown on social media and on Florida State internet on that day was one for the record books.
You know how kids love to shock the world? We hear that from recruits all the time. I'm going to shock the world. I'm going to shock the world. 99% of the time, you're not shocking anybody. You're not shocking the world. Travis Hunter shocked the world.
Yeah, that's one of those.
That was the one time that a recruit made that sort of an impact. It was when Travis Hunter flipped from Florida State to Jackson State. No one believed it. It was bubbling up behind the scenes. So when kids say, I'm going to shock the world, brother, you're not shocking anybody. Most people probably already know where you're going. Travis Hunter, he did.
I'm going to shock the world and commit to the school where 70% of RPMs are to. Kind of moving quickly, unless you want to stop me. Bryce Young.
Texas recruited Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Offered him early. Tim Beck loved him. I think Tim Beck only had him higher than Hudson Card, if I remember, or maybe it was a year before that.
And JJ was up there too.
Yeah, Tim Beck was a huge fan of Bryce Young. I think he was committed to USC first.
He was.
And then Saban got involved, and that's when that thing was rolling, and he went to Bama, and the rest is history.
Myles Garrett, yep.
Always going to A&M. He was always going A&M. And look, he could be higher up on this list. Myles Garrett was dominant. He just happened to play at a school, Arlington Martin, that just wasn't, a big-time winning program at the time. And so he kind of got a little – I wouldn't say behind the
I don't know. He was the number 1 overall recruit, man.
No, he was. That's what I'm saying. I think he could be up on this list. I really do. Like, he was just – except for Jadeveon Clowney, Myles Garrett's probably the most dominant high school defensive player I've ever seen.
Julio Jones, makes a lot of sense.
Alabama took him from LSU, I will never know.
Matt Stafford, this is an interesting one just because he had the Highland Park factor, goes to play for Mark Richt. I don't remember much about this recruitment.
Stafford went to Georgia because his dad was roommates with Richt in college at Florida State. They were friends. So Matt Stafford grew up around the Ricks his whole life. Matt Stafford was that was the class where Mack Brown offered like 26 kids in that class and 24 signed. It was some ridiculous probability number there. And one of them was Matt Stafford. And I can't remember if he visited. I think he did once, but it was like one of those, we appreciate it, Coach Brown. We love Texas. We appreciate all this. But this kid's going to go play for a family friend, and that's why he wound up in Athens.
I think there's a line right above Stafford
there has to be.
You know what? I think actually –
and I saw Stafford play high school football and high school baseball.
I think there's a line above Tommy Harris at 11 between him and Bryce Young.
I'll give you that. Yeah, because Hunter was like that.
I think from those guys up, it's guys breathing different air.
I would swap Trevor and Bryce Young. I would swap them.
Yeah.
I think
Trevor was Heisman good. He just never won one,
Yeah.
Clowney, yeah.
Clowney was.
And he just, it's one of those things
they
where.
had to change the rules.
Imagine if you have calculus homework, but before you have to go do it, you have to tackle Jadeveon Clowney. Like, that's one of those things.
He hurt kids.
I can't imagine. Cam Newton, I know that one was a circus, ongoing investigation and all.
It's still a circus today.
Yeah.
Cam Newton is a revolving circus. Cam, you got to respect him, though. He has no problem telling you, I got this much money from this school and this much money offered me. Like, I respect the truth. Go on, Cam. And then he went to Blinn after a stint at Florida where he got in a little bit of trouble. He goes to Blinn, wins a natty, goes and joins our boy Gene Chizik in Auburn, and single-handedly, in a way, I know Nick Fairley and that defense were pretty good. Michael Dye was a pretty good running back. But, dude, Cam Newton single-handedly won the national title for Auburn. He definitely belongs in that. Tebow, the next guy in Newton, were flipping teammates.
Yeah.
So that was the height of Urban then.
Tebow, no doubt, 2-time national champion, 5-star player.
You know where he almost went? Alabama.
Yeah.
And you know why Alabama wasn't Alabama at the time? I want to say Mike Shula was the coach.
Shula.
Yeah, Mike Shula was the coach, but he loved Bama. loved Bama. And later, if his career is 5 years later, he may have wound up playing at Bama. Top three are another level, man. Top three are just different human beings. Let me tell you something. Adrian Peterson's the greatest running back, greatest high school football player I've ever seen in my life. He's not human. He's an alien. I don't give a damn what anybody says about DNA. He's a freak. And then Vince, and then Reggie. Like, these top three were just – and they were all at the same time.
Yeah.
That's peak college football, Joe.
Tebow was right behind him, too.
I know. From like 2004 to 2007, 2008, that's peak college football because that's when all those guys played at the same time. We were spoiled, Joe, and we didn't even know it. Maybe that's why EA's college football was so damn fun.
We're going to see Arch in a couple of years on this list?
Yeah. Of course.
I think so. I
Come
think
on, sweet and low, Poppy. You know Arch is going to be on there.
Like, all these players either were significant parts of great team success or Heisman winners or national champions. It's hard not to think Arch Manning's going to end up there. So, all right. I think that about covers it. Hopefully we get to, this is always fun. We usually cover the latest in recruiting, but we get to cover a little bit of some look back on what happened in years past and some guys who made major impacts during their careers as going from 5-star recruits to, 5-star talents.
When in doubt, go nostalgic.
Yeah, exactly.
It never fails.
Make sure you head to InsideTexas.com, join for just $1. That $1 gets you access to all the great coverage we provide over at Inside Texas, team info, the latest recruiting intel, also full coverage of Steve Sarkisian and all the other opportunities where he's available with the media. In addition, we do have a great deal. Join Inside Texas now for $1 for your first week. Enjoy a complimentary year of The Athletic included with your membership. So go check that out. Link is in the description. And then, of course, buy our guy Paul Wadlington's Thinking Texas Football. Links also in the description. Every player, every position, every opponent, every SEC team, and a look at the college football landscape, plus a look at the 2025 recruiting class. Starting making a good amount of waves. So always fun to go over the latest in recruiting with you, Justin, and with Charlie. Had to step away for a second, but appreciate him as always. Appreciate you. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.